Good morning, cadets. Hope you have completed all the assigned tasks related to the last few chapters of our past part 2 or history. Today let us start the last chapter of history, that is the 18th century political formation, chapter number 10. So chapter number 10, the last chapter of history in the class 7th. If you look at the map 1 and 2 closely, you will see something significant happening in the subcontinent during the first half of 18th century. Notice how the boundaries of Mughal Empire were reshaped by emergence of large number of kingdoms. Now I will show you the map 1 and 2. This is map 1 and this is map 2. Now let us check once again. Map 1. You see, the map 1 shows the boundary of Mughal Empire. Okay, so the entire area, the boundary of Mughal Empire, almost up to the south it is in Bijapur. The Adil Shahis of Bijapur were defeated by the Mughals. So this is the 18th century Mughal kingdom, that is empire in 1700, because in 7 means it was in the peak because of Mughal king Aurangzeb. Okay. Now let us see this map. In this map you can see slowly the decline of Mughals and the British territories, how the British gained their importance in the mid 18th century. You can see the arrow marks here. Okay, the arrow marks. Okay, so all these places were captured by the British. So by the end of mid 18th century, the entire scenario is completely changed. The Marathas gained their prominence. Hyderabad Nawabs, 6 Rajputs. So now you can see hardly there is a existence of Mughals only in Delhi and in Agra. So that is what the huge change, that political formation which happened. You can see the Portuguese, they settled down in Goa and they became very, very powerful in Goa. French in Pondicherry, British in Fort David, and Bombay, it was controlled by the British. Surat was also initially controlled by the British. So what you have to understand in the map number 1 and 2, map number 2, this is what map number 2. Map number 2, in the mid 18th century, the political map of India is changed because of the very, very powerful entry of British East India Company. That is what the map number 2 is suggesting. Once again let us check map number 1. The map number 1 you see here is a complete Mughal domination. Because why the Mughal domination? I already told, the Mughal domination purely because of the last powerful emperor of Mughal kingdom, that is Aurangzeb. So Aurangzeb annexed and captured almost entire part of North India, including present day Afghanistan. So that is what we are going to study in this chapter, that is how the new political formations or how the new political power hubs started changing in the Mughal kingdom, in the Indian political scenario. Kingdoms by 1765, notice how another power, the British, had successfully grabbed the major chunks of territory in eastern India. What these maps tell us is that political conditions in 18th century India changed quite dramatically and within a relatively short span of time. So in a short span of time, completely the change of political power in the Indian political scenario. In this chapter, we will read about the emergence of new political groups in subcontinent during the first half of 18th century. So what we are going to study in this chapter is nothing but we are going to study about the political freedom changes from I told you the death of Aurangzeb in the year 1707, and after 1707 the third battle of Panipat. Third battle of Panipat, why it is important? Third battle of Panipat is responsible the complete downfall of Maratha kingdom. That is the third battle of Panipat. That is what we are going to study in this particular chapter. This map we already studied, we have checked in detail. The crisis of the empire and the later Mughals. Please remember the death of Aurangzeb in the year 1707, that led to the power crisis in Mughal kingdom, means for the successor. In chapter 4, you saw how Mughal empire reached the height of its success and started facing a variety of crises towards the closing years of the 17th century. These were caused by a number of factors. Emperor Aurangzeb had depleted the military and financial resources of his empire by fighting a long war in Deccan. So, by fighting a long war in Deccan, Aurangzeb consolidated the kingdom by fighting a war. It is believed that Aurangzeb led nearly 25 years of life in the battlefield. It means his dream was making Mughal kingdom gain its glory. That is the reason why he completely concentrated on capturing various kingdoms and making consolidation of the Mughal empire. Under his successors, the efficiency of imperial administration broke down. It became increasingly difficult for the later Mughals to keep the check of their powerful Mansabdars. So Mansabdars means the appointment like ministers in others. So Mansabdars, now till Aurangzeb there was no issue, but once Aurangzeb, after death of Aurangzeb, that is in 1707, it was very difficult to control the activities of Mansabdar. And the Mansabdar, they become very powerful and they started gaining control over the kingdoms which were once controlled by the Mughal king. Subadars and often controlled the officers of revenue and military administration. This gave them extraordinary political, economic and military powers over the vast regions of the empire. As the governors consolidated their control over the provinces, the periodic remission of revenue to the capital also declined. So revenue to the capital also declined because of the decline of Mughal empire. Peasants and zamindari rebellion in many parts of northern and western India added to these problems. These revolts were sometimes caused by the pressures of mounting taxes. At the same time, there were attempts by powerful chieftains to consolidate their own positions. Mughal authority had been challenged by rebellious groups in the past as well, but these groups were now able to seize the economic resources of the region to consolidate their positions. The Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb were unable to arrest the gradual shifting of political and economic authority into hands of provincial government and local chieftains and other groups. So what we have to understand here, after death of Mughal king Aurangzeb, zamindars, subadars and others, they started gaining lot of importance and they started controlling economic resources of the earlier Mughal kingdom. Rich harvest and empty coffers. This is regarding the financial condition written by the contemporary writer of those days. The great lords of helpless and improvised, their peasants raise 2 crops a year, but their lords see nothing of either, and their agents on the spot are virtual prisoners in the peasant's hands, like a peasant kept his creditor's house until he can pay his debt. So complete is the collapse of all order and administration that though the peasant reap a harvest of gold, this Lord not seen a wisp of straw. So the condition of peasants and the farmers was not so good after death of Aurangzeb. One of the reason is that lot of zamindars, they started lot of getting lot of importance, gaining importance. This economic and political crisis, Nadir Shah sacked the plundered the city of Delhi in 1739. Nadir Shah was a plunderer or a looter who attacked Delhi and plundered or looted the wealth of Delhi and took away the immense amount of wealth. This invasion of Nadir Shah, followed by series of plundering raids by Afghan ruler Ahmad Shah Abdali. Ahmad Shah Abdali, who invaded India 5 times between 1748 to 1761, that is what we speak about, third battle of Panipat. So Ahmad Shah Abdali, the Afghan invader, attacked India. When Ahmad Shah Abdali attacked India, he invaded 5 times to India and looted the wealth. But Marathas faced Ahmad Shah Abdali. No Indian king supported Marathas. As a result, Ahmad Shah Abdali won the war, that is the third battle of Panipat, and that led to the decline or downfall or collapse of Maratha kingdom into 5 different or the small units. That is what the sad part of the story, where a invader attacked India, where the local kings not supported. As a result, Maratha confederacy or Maratha administration declined. The devastation of Delhi after Nadir Shah invasion was described by contemporary observers. You see, 60 lakh rupees and thousands of gold coin, crores worth wealth of jewels, and including the peacock throne. Another account describes that the invasion impact was who had been mastered were now dares, and those who have been reversed couldn't get quench of their thirst. The refugees were pulled out of their corners. The wealthy were turned into beggars. Those who once set the lifestyle of clothes now went naked, and those who owned property now homeless. You see, Nadir Shah's invasion was considered as one of the plunder, because he was a worst plunderer, because he never left. Intention was to not leave anything in Indian soil. Already under severe pressure from all the sides, the empire was further weakened by the competition amongst the group of nobles. They were divided into 2 major groups of factions, the Iranians and Turanians. Iranians and Turanians means the Turkic descendant for a long time. The later Mughal emperors were puppets in the hands of either one or other of these 2 powerful groups. The possible humiliation came into when 2 Mughal emperors, Farrukh Shir and Alamgir, were assassinated. The 2 other, Ahmad Shah and Shah Alam II, were blinded by their nobles. So, with the decline of Mughal Empire, the emergence of new states started in India. The decline of authority of Mughal Emperor, the governor of large province, Subhadars and great zamindars consolidated their authority in different parts of the subcontinent. Through the 18th century, the Mughal Empire gradually fragmented into number of independent regional states. Broadly speaking, the state of the 18th century can be divided into three overlapping groups. First, the states were old Mughal provinces like Awadh, Bengal and Hyderabad. Although extremely powerful and quite independent, the rulers of these states did not break into formal ties with the Mughal emperor. Second, the state had enjoyed considerably independence under the Mughal as Watan Jagirs. These include several Rajput principalities. Third, the last group include the states under the control of Marathas, Sikhs and others like Jats. These were different. These were differing sizes and seized their independence from Mughals after a long drawn armed struggle. Now what you would understand here, there were three types of states in India, means political overlapping groups in India because of the decline of Mughal empire because of death of Aurangzeb. What were the three states conditions of state? First one, states that were old Mughal province like Awadh, Bengal and Hyderabad. So they were once under the control of Mughals. States like Awadh, Bengal and Hyderabad. Although extremely powerful and quite independent, the rulers of these states did not break their formal ties with the Mughal empire. That is what even in the later part of British period also, the Nawabs of Hyderabad, Nawab of Awadh and Bengal, they were quite subordinate to the Mughals. The second what is the second? The state that had enjoyed considerable independence under the Watan Jagir. These divided into several Rajput principalities. Means those who were under the control of Mughals, but they enjoyed their freedom. What is the last? The last group were those state under the control of Marathas, Sikhs, Jats. These were differing in sizes and seized their independence from the Mughals after a long drawn conflict. So third one was those who wanted to come out from the control of Mughals and declare their independent kingdom. So there were actually, this is the reason why there was a clear-cut political opportunity for the British, because it was easy for the British to start one of the most cunning principle of British, that is the divide and rule. That is how British started capturing the kingdoms one after another. The old Mughal provinces. Amongst the state, there were carved out of old Mughal provinces in the 18th century. Three stand out very prominently. These were Awadh, Bengal and Hyderabad. Awadh, Bengal and Hyderabad. These three states founded by members of high Mughal nobility who had been governors of a large province. That is Sadat Khan of Awadh, Murshid Quli Khan of Bengal, Asaf Jah of Hyderabad. All three had occupied Mansabdari positions and enjoyed the trust and the confidence of Mughal kingdom. So Sadat Khan, Murshid Quli Khan and Asaf Jah of Hyderabad, they all enjoyed the high Mansabdari positions under the Mughal kingdoms. So that is what we are studied. That is, in the next few paragraphs we are going to study about how these three kingdoms, or that is Nawab of Awadh, Nawab of Bengal and Hyderabad, controlled the British. They were controlled by the Mughals, but they were also later declared their independence. Okay, so once again I will quickly go through what we have studied in this chapter number 18. Chapter number 10, please understand. Chapter number 10 we are studying about the political changes which took place over a period of time. That is what map number 1 and map number 2. We also studied about the political changes after the death of Aurangzeb. What happened in India after death of Aurangzeb, how Subadars and Mughal nobles declared their independence. Okay. And we also studied about attack of Nadir Shah and the third battle of Panipat. The attack of Nadir Shah really made a lot of decline in India because of third battle of Panipat and later implication of third battle of Panipat. So next we are going to study about the kingdom of Hyderabad, that we will study in the next class. Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care.